everybody, and welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And yeah, it's early in the morning, so I got the nice Barry White kind of voice. Yeah. Poor man's Barry White. But playing a game of BBR virtually. Just didn't have the time to be able to head into town. So we played one round yesterday, and we're starting up again today, and we'll finish off the other 7 hopefully. And I thought I'd just give you a little update as to what's going on. His first round, he had a devastatingly good first round. So he sent a couple subs over here and sank the Canadian destroyer transport, came into the channel, sank the fleet there, left this fleet alone, but the Germans put money into a carrier and a sub in the first round here, trying to keep sea line as an option. So of course I had to build infantry. But I also put some fighters up here to scramble. If he wants to come sink this, then I'll have 6 4s defending. So I could put a real punch into that. And the reason I came up to here is so that this monstrosity of an Air Force can't get to me. The bombers can, but nothing else can. I guess 2 planes could come, because then these fighters, 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. No, that's all he can bring is that, and maybe the bombers, and then these 2 things. So we'll see if he'll try to take me. France, he took, only lost 4 infantry. Normandy, Bordeaux, he took, didn't lose anything. So really good round for him. And because Germany had such a good round, I had to bring stuff back to London. So of course Gibraltar I just left, and he took it. Yeah, Italy had no troubles in the first round either. Southern France will fall probably to Germany. I told him I'd like to have Germany take that, because then they could build ships in the Med. So I think that's what he's doing now. Italians took Greece, only lost 1 or 2 infantry there. Italians took Tunisia, sank the French fleet, lost a sub. Took Tunisia, lost a man, and took El Alamein, but didn't lose anything. So the British have pulled everything back, but we're not going too far. We were able to take most of the Italian stuff out here. And yeah, the rest of this is going on. The Russians, of course, kind of glad to see the Germans spend all that money on Navy, but I suspect they're going to be building a major in Romania and pumping out 10 units at a time. Calcutta, I built a couple of fast units and trying to head over here and subdue all of this pro-Axis stuff. On the regular G40 map, it's pro-Allied for Iran and Persia and whatnot, they call it. But on BBR here, it's all pro-Axis. Historically, it was kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Eventually went pro-Allied, but it certainly began the war kind of leaning towards the German interests. Japan does what Japan does. So they took all this stuff and didn't really lose much. They did take Yunnan, and then I was able to take it back. And I got a decent stack of infantry there, but he'll likely take it back. He's got 6 units, because he's got a ground unit there, a fast unit in Anhui. So he's got 6 units that can come in, plus the better part of his Air Force. So I'm pretty sure Yunnan is not long for this world. I did get $15 with China though, so I'll be able to build 5 men and head for the mountains. That's what this guy's doing. He's headed up for the pass where he can't be killed, and then he can hop out to spoil the China point if they're trying for that. Of course, Anzac came and took Java. $4 is $4. It's unfortunate though, because it's $13 worth of stuff. But the Japanese are loath to bring America into the war too soon. So he probably won't. He didn't move his fleet here though, which was interesting to me. I don't know if he's just wanting to project power out here and figured this is too much of a, this is enough of a force. But America, move their fleet out to 26, as is typical. And my build for America was 3 fighters and or no, 2 fighters, 2 tacticals, and a tank, and then my tech for 4, so that's 52. So I'm going to go heavy with air power with America. It's for the most part cheaper than ships, and my tech is actually shipyards, which he doesn't know yet and won't know until the 4th round, probably, possibly 3rd. So I'm building all my planes now. I'm not going to build any boats until they're cheap, and then I'll crank out a whole bunch at the same time. But that's pretty much the intro. All very typical moves. He moved his guys out of Norway into Finland, of course, but then reinforced with the men and artillery there. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to try a sea lion. I think it would be pretty ill-fated. I've got about, I think 11 at 2. I've got 5 AAAs, and I've even got a bomber, and then the 3 fighters. So I don't see him doing that. Hey, if he wants to do that, it'd be great, but I highly doubt he's going to do that. He's probably going to come and kill my fleet. Yeah, so we'll see what happens here on round 2. Remember, it's just an 8-round game, so you kind of got to get going right away. If you're the Axis, so the pressure's on them to get out there and get their 12 points. Here I have a very beautiful chart. Green Sharpie. How do you know I'm a teacher? And then I put a little red box beside all of the ones that he has. So right now, he's got those 6. He needs 12 at the end of round 8. So this one falls, sometimes falls, falls. Right, so you can see he's got quite a bit that are going to be good. But then oil is one that they usually get. Resources they usually get. Then after that, these other ones here are a real fight. So we'll see. The Rising Sun is he needs 52 points with Japan. 52 points, 52 IPCs before bonuses. And the Third Reich, I believe now is $70 between Germany and Italy before bonuses. So both are very attainable, but that's where I just have to look for the opportunity to come in, swoop in, and ruin their day. All right. Well, thanks for watching so far, and round 2 is coming up. All right, here we are, round 2, and yeah, some fun stuff went on both sides. Maybe we'll start in Africa here. The typical Canadian move to get over here and get its 3 bonus is always nice. British built a couple of fast units down in South Africa that will hopefully help protect the new factory that is in Cairo. The French destroyer you can see is gone. He came up here. There was an Italian cruiser in '99 and went in for a suicide mission, and they both got sunk. So fair trade, I'd say. But Italy walked away with $27 this round, so they're doing just fine. Thank you very much. And just a note here, Morocco has been split into 2 different places now. There's Morocco and then there's Casablanca. So there's actually another territory here that all these French Foreign Legion are in. But the reason they split that is so that when America comes over, they actually have to go into kind of a neutral territory first and then go. Now this is not considered a strict neutral anymore though, so we're not declaring war or anything like that. Italy still holds Gibraltar, but the transport got sunk by the bomber from England, which then landed in Malta and, of course, was killed along with the man and the anti-aircraft, and only for the loss of 1 infantry for Italy. No hits on the planes. The Americans built another bomber here. Some interesting developments here. As you know, the Germans had taken Scotland, and so the British had to... no, you didn't know that. The Germans took Scotland this round, so it's a long game. Took Scotland this round and killed the 3 fighters there. So it was a good move by my opponent, and cost me 3 fighters, and only for the loss of 2 infantry, but then he ended up losing the other infantry and artillery for the loss of 1 infantry for me. I also sank, he had a cruiser, a destroyer, and a transport there that were sunk with no loss to me. So, yeah, kind of starting to balance out a little bit there. Of course, nothing going on the Eastern Front yet. He's got lots of stuff moving there, though. He's got 9 tanks, and he's got the Italians also helping out, of course, getting ready for their can opener in Bessarabia. We'll see what happens with that. The Soviets are just building up, just trying to withstand the eventual storm. Built 8 artillery this round and saved $1. The Italians had a lone man here. He got taken out by those 3 units. The Calcuttians moved a bunch of guys over here, hopefully for a strike at some point. The Japanese are here. They did build a naval port in Hainan, but they have no transport, so there's no threat to Calcutta. That's why I'm able to move these guys out. They'll be back next round. Japan crushed the Chinese here, and only for the loss of a couple or 3 infantry or something, so that went very well for them. So China has decided to back up and only received $4 this round, so won't be able to build much next turn as the Japan tidal wave moves ever westward. The Soviets moved back down during their turn, though, which then prompted the Japanese to bulk up Korea. Manchuria is empty, but there's no sense heading down there yet. We may someday, but as long as we can tie down Japanese troops there, we're happy. As you know, Japan's got all this big mess here. Anzac took Sumatra, had Java from last round, and took Dutch New Guinea and reinforced with 3 fighters. Now the reason it can do that is because it's a neutral. It's not a, they didn't conquer it. It's kind of non-combat. They're able to non-com fighters into that right away. So get them on the board. Down here, the Americans have decided to come down. They're allowed to do this. They can't end their turn beside Japanese holdings, but they can go anywhere else in the Pacific. So we decided to go here, and we brought 4 units. So not much of a punch, but yeah, just something for the Japanese to think about. We moved all of our aircraft down here to Hawaii and brought back the sub and destroyer from 23. Wake Island has the fighter that was just on Guam. And over here, we put our build. We have 2 fighters and a tactical on this side, and the bomber went on the other side. So that's round 2. This is going to be the tech roll round. So this is where all 5 major powers are going to roll for their techs. And if they roll a 6, they pay $6, but their tech is automatically in play. If not, if they roll a 1 to a 5, they have to pay that much. And then the following round, you buy dice at 1 IPC each, and then you have to roll a 5 or a 6 to get your stuff active. So we'll see what happens here on round 3 of BBR version 3. Alright, round 3 is complete, so everybody's at war now, and some decent dice rolling for the Axis on the tech. The Germans got theirs, and the Japanese rolled a 1, so no problem. The Russians rolled a 5, or a 4, the Americans rolled a 5, but the British rolled a 6, so they got theirs as well. And the British, as we've said, have the shipyards. I'm pretty certain he's got self-propelled artillery. Not sure about the Japanese yet. He hasn't focused on anything in particular, but probably something to do with air and naval. And that's where we stand for economies right now. We'll start here in the Atlantic. The Americans built some transports, and also Canada built a transport destroyer. Italy had taken Gibraltar last round, as we saw, so the British came down, knowing that their fleet up here in 119 is doomed. They came down here and took Gibraltar, and Italy came back and killed both guys, but the Gibraltar Defense Force remains. So Britain holds Gibraltar for the time being, which is really nice. We also have the Russians came down to 112, just to sit there with the Germans. So if they, well, they're likely going to declare war, they won't be able to load the transport that is up there and take stuff to Russia if they wanted to. So they can't do that for a combat move. They'll be able to non-com, of course. Yeah, this is just a big mess. So the Italians declared war on Russia and busted into eastern Poland and Bessarabia. And took a couple of hits in eastern Poland, lost a tank and a couple of guys, but not much of a price to pay to can openers. So now all of this German stuff can go to Ukraine, and all of that German stuff can go up to the Baltics. So it's the typical Axis steamroller here in round 4 that I am about to endure. I'm not sure if we have much of an answer for it either right now, but we'll see. The Italians have completely given up on the Italian lake, as it were, or empire. They have the lake, right? There's no Allied ships in there, but they're certainly putting all of their efforts into helping out the Germans. British built a factory last round here, and so we built 1 destroyer and 1 man. And over here, the British had some good success here. Went into Iraq, only lost a man. Went into Iran, lost a man. Yeah, I can't remember if they actually took a hit. I don't think they did. But with the help of their Air Force, they were able to take both of these. So some sweet bonuses. So the British ended up with $52 or something for next round. So that should be handy. The Russians moved their factory out of there. As you read about factory movement in the cards. I don't have the rule book with me, but the cards just say move it, and then you can only build one less thing, and it says $1, but I know in the last game we played it's $2. So built 1 man here and a couple of destroyers. Moved up a blocker here because of course the big Japanese fleet is now within range of attacking Calcutta this next round. They also got Kwangtung, and their aircraft don't have anywhere to land, so none of his aircraft can take part in an attack on Calcutta. So don't think he's got enough to take Calcutta this round. The Anzac decided to bulk up here. I was thinking of going to sleeves, but we made $29 this round because we declared war on the Japanese and went and took the Caroline Islands. We lost 3 men doing it though, so it was costly, but we did secure it. So Japan will have to come and take care of it if they don't want America to have a nice place to sortie from. China is on her last legs here, can absolutely get wiped out this round. I was able to sneak 2 guys into the Kunlun Pass to pop out at some point. The Russians retreated 1 spot, but they're sure to come up this next round. Lots of stuff in Korea, and he built a little bit of stuff here, and put a full build into there. So that's what we got going. America brought all its entire Air Force down to Hawaii, and only built 2 men in the Pacific in order to get the bonus $5. So, well, $10 totally. In total, pardon me. All right, so we're on to round 4. This is a critical round. The Axis are still steamrolling, but now they've got some things they have to take care of, and I'm sure that they're going to, but certainly not a done deal. But the Soviets are going to be definitely hard pressed. We'll have to be careful not to do anything too silly. All right, round 4 coming up. We'll watch the Germans roll. All right, here we are at the end of round 4, halfway through the game, and everybody has their techs. And the only one that is a secret right now is the Japanese tech. Has not been declared yet, so I'll have to wait and see what that is. And here we are. That is the current state of affairs. Oh, China, way wrong. China's at 2 right now. But that's what everybody else is at right now for economy. Let's take a look at the board. So the Germans came down and took Gibraltar. It was empty. And just grabbed that. They had to destroy the small British fleet doing it and sustained a couple of losses of subs, but that's it. Let's let's see, not sure what else to do. America did most of its build here in the Atlantic, and definitely are raring to go here. The Canadians came down to here and dropped a couple guys off in a French territory, so they get their $3 bonus, and so the guy in Africa could move. So Brazil is going to be taken next round for an extra couple bucks, so that'll be nice. British built a bomber / air transport. The Italians totally forsaking Africa, just wanting to help out the Germans, and help out they are. They've actually taken $7 worth of property from the Soviets, whereas the Soviets have, or the Germans have only taken 1. So Italy's getting rich, but at the cost of losing all of this. So it's kind of a give and take for them. The Russians came out into the Baltic states with 4 men and actually won it and didn't lose anybody, but then the Italians attacked and only got 1 hit with they got 6 dice and just 1. It would have been nice to, kill something more, but what can you do? The city of Leningrad will definitely fall this round, as the Germans have all the stuff they need to go in there and take that. The Russians have received a little bit of aid in the form of 3 British fighters, so that might help hold on, and they have units rushing up from the south to bulk up in Moscow if they get there on time. The dreaded can opener didn't happen, so the Germans are going to do a slug through here and take Bryansk this round, and then Russia has 1 round to live. So hopefully able to hold on. Built a destroyer and a couple transports in Cairo to threaten over here. Moved everybody out of Calcutta because the Japanese are not within range. And China is down to its last breath. It's probably going to get eliminated this round. But 2 guys were able to make it into the mountains and hide, hopefully to emerge later. Anzac helping out a little bit. Japanese obviously come down and take the Money Islands, but then the Anzac and Americans came and took them back and are convoying a little bit as well in Sumatra, as well as here in Malaya. So the Japanese are here. They took Philippines without a loss, and yeah, obviously all this other stuff is still in Japanese hands. They're cranking out a lot of fast movers on the mainland. The Americans moved their entire air force to the Caroline Islands, and thanks to the Anzac taking it, so that's always handy. Anzac's had to retreat a bit, kind of vulnerable right now, but the Japanese only have 1 transport on the board. Well protected, mind you, but only 1 transport, so they'll definitely have to build some. They left 1 up here, it's a little exposed, so I had to go take care of that. America, just to get the $5 bonus, built a couple of subs here, because also the Japanese are up here doing that. So Russia will have some trouble trying to get Lend-Lease on the west this round. And the Americans are backed up here to get out of the range of this monstrous fleet, because it really sucks when you lose your whole fleet. This is all they have in the Pacific right now. So that's the end of round 4. It's pretty dicey right now that the Soviet Union will be around for 2 more rounds. You never know, though. Never know. They got, with their bonuses, they've got $43 to spend next round. Didn't spend everything last round because I just knew that these things would all get taken. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, though. On round 5 of the BBR, lots of fun, lots of great stuff going on. Oh, and the Soviets moved back into Amur just to give the Japanese something to think about. All right, here we are, round 6, and crazy things going on, but we'll just walk you through it. So the crazy thing here, the Canadians took Brazil, so they are up. Whoop, didn't even move them up there. Come on, what are you doing? So 9, then they got 3 for their bonus of being in a French territory with French Guiana. Of course, they don't have any transport down here because it got sunk by the German U-boats. The Americans brought everybody over to Gibraltar, and there you have it. They're happy where they're at, and built a bunch of more stuff here on the east coast. British built a blocker here in the English Channel so that the German fleet can't come down, and all the air power's over there. So this is now, they're dug in there like an Alabama tick, and we can go anywhere we want. So that's what we want by turn 5 for America. So that worked out. Canada built a tactical, but since I don't have a tactical in that color, I'm just using a French one on a Canadian roundel. Built a cruiser and a sub here in Cairo, and a bomber. Could be an air transport, we'll find out shortly. And in Calcutta, built a plane and a couple other units in there. Kind of bulked up Burma, and the Japanese are there, so there could be a bit of a conflagration happening soon, but we'll see. Anzac brought over 3 fighters to add some support, and took French Indochina because it was just empty. Let's see here, down here, still some convoying going on. We only convoyed him for $1 though, because I rolled 2 5s, so that's the way things have been going there. The Americans were able to destroy the Japanese destroyer here in 42, so no convoy happened on them. Took Salibs. The Japanese attempted an attack on Borneo, and both their ground units were destroyed and their aircraft missed. So, yeah, Borneo holds. Philippines, always a bastion of Japanese strength. And the Carolines are a bastion of American air power. So there you go. We got a couple of bastions. And if you're wondering, that's not a dirty word. Okay, and down here we've got lots of transports happening, and all that sitting there. The Japanese, you'll notice, are all alone up here. The Russians came in unopposed into Manchuria. And the Japanese took it back and lost quite a bit of stuff, but they ended up with 1 tank at the end. And yeah, there you go. They lost 1 aircraft to the AAA as well. Built a little bit of a navy here, and brought their bombers back. Americans have left Hawaii wide open for the Japanese, but also have the ability to come over and have some fun there. So we'll see what happens with that on the next round. The Italians have kind of boarded up everything here, put a blocker in 92. But we'll see if that's enough. The big story though is going to be Moscow. This is the round that the attack will come, because the last build he built does not have much punch to it, so he's obviously thinking something else. So we'll see what happens here. This is round 6. Will Moscow last? A little bit of British help in there, some fighters and whatnot, but not. I think the odds are definitely with the Germans on this, but we'll see. He doesn't have a lot of cheap stuff coming in. He'll just have 1 man. Everything else is going to be $4 or more. So we'll see though. See if Russia can hold. Haven't been rolling 2s very well today. Lots and lots and lots of blanks. So that'll change right now. The last round was actually not too bad. I rolled a lot defending Manchuria, of course. So that was good. Hopefully that keeps up. But my opponent's been playing an excellent game here. And, you know, going to have to make a decision here with my Canadians, where we're going to be going next round. It'll be interesting. Do we go north? Do we go south? Do we go east? Well, we won't go south, but will we go east or will we go north? All right, stay tuned. You'll find out round 6. Will Moscow still be free, or will it be under the heel of the Nazis? And when I say free, I mean under the heel of Stalin. So take your pick. Carnage is the order of the day for round 6. We'll just let you know what's going on. The Americans have just brought a couple of guys down to Hawaii just for fun. Built these guys over here. Japan was blocking the Lend-Lease, but they took Amur, so there is no more Lend-Lease coming to the Soviets. They are blocked on all fronts. Japanese building some mobile stuff here. 6 units on the mainland. And their fleet in the Philippines has gone. And they've gone west. And they are over here. They were able to take Shan State. And did pretty well doing it. And parked their fleet just off the coast of Calcutta here. Off the sea zone anyway. So I think we know what's coming on round 8. They'll be pouring everything they can into India. So we'll see if our strategy for holding Calcutta is going to work. We also have the Italians have been pushed out of Africa. They still own Malta though. And they of course own a ton of stuff here in Russia. They have far more points in Russia than Germany does. They've been doing very well. And as you can see, they've got no worries in Rome. The Americans left their transport fleet here and brought some more guys over, but they went up and attacked the German battleship and sub and sank it, and we got a damaged carrier out of the deal. The British built some transports and built 4 artillery and brought some guys back to scramble. So on this side, built a American battleship and some more subs, or pardon me, a sub and 3 transports. Because this is round 7, so the Canadians went over to, oops, sorry for the blurry picture. The Canadians went over and we marshaled up so we can grab a couple of guys and bring them over. And the Canadians also built a bomber / air transport, so we'll see what kind of use he gets. The battle for Moscow did not go well for the Germans. They rolled pretty well actually, but the Russians rolled a little bit above average. On the odds calculator, the Russians were favored to win, but rolled a little bit better than the Germans. So just one round of combat, and Germany backed up and bulked up, and were able to bring more stuff than Russia was able to build. So have a slightly better chance this next round of taking Moscow. But again, that's why we roll the dice. We'll have to see. But the Russians, or the Italians, have done the can opener again here, and so the minerals, oil, all this is now a possibility for them, with not much able to get over there to disrupt it. Again, China has been subdued and has $4 to spend, but nowhere to spend it. But they do have 2 guys there, but obviously Japan is determined to hold on to that victory point. And yeah, Yunnan is just choked full of planes and fast units. So 2 more rounds remain though, 2 more attacks. We'll see if Calcutta can bulk up enough. They can only spend $20 here, so 12 more units can be placed there in the next 2 rounds. Hope it's enough. I don't know if it will be. That's an awful lot of Japanese stuff. Got a couple of transports here as well to pick some things up. Over here, I'm not sure if I actually talked about this. There's a lot going on. So the Anzac and Americans have marshaled into Caroline and are ready to cause some grief. Not a ton of grief. It's not a very big fleet actually. It's got what do we got here? A couple destroyers, 3 cruisers, a sub, battleship, and a carrier. So and a few transports. And Anzac built this. They had $31 to spend, so they spent 30 just to get some guys moving and maybe reinforce an American attack this round. All right, we'll see what happens here on round 7 of the BBR. Exciting times ahead. All right, round 7 is done, and how many times have we seen Anzac coming to the rescue when the rest of the Allies have kind of screwed things up? But the rescue is maybe a bit of a reach, as it were. We're going to go through here and we're going to show you with my beautifully constructed whatchamacallit, the list of cities and victory points that the Axis need. Now they need 12 to win, and we have 1 more round to go. So we'll get to the board in just a second. They hold Berlin, hold Rome, hold Tokyo, hold Paris, hold Warsaw, and Shanghai and Hong Kong. Okay, so that is 7 as far as cities go. The rest of the cities are no longer in Axis control or never were. So that's 7 points they have there. They do have Stalingrad. Unlikely that's going to fall anytime soon. And they have Leningrad, which might, but highly unlikely it'll fall too. The Germans can certainly muster a good defense there. The resources. They do have the resource point right now because they hold 4 of the 5. So as long as they don't lose 2 of those, they should hold on to that victory point. And they hold all of China. And they should hold on to all of China. There's really not much that can be done about that. So that gives them 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The Third Reich point is when they have a total of 70 between Italy and Germany. And Italy right now sits at 18 and Germany sits at 55. I think those are right. It might be a little off, but that might get taken from them. But that is their 12th point. Right? That's going to be their 12th point, is having the 70 bucks between the two. But as we look, we can see that there is some quite a bit of stuff here that might get taken in the next round by, well, the big stacks of Russians. So Germany has a choice to make. Do they punch out and try to destroy a bunch of stuff, or do they try to put all their resources into the big money and hopefully hang on to that Third Reich point? We'll have to see. All right. But big recent story was Anzac coming into the Philippines. Sometimes you just have a long shot, right? You just have no idea if it's going to work out or not. And that's all we had with this. It was an absolute long shot. And so the Anzac came in, and they were able to bring a bomber in to the sea zone, and they brought the 3 transports, a cruiser, and a sub. That's all they brought. Defending was 3 transports, which defended a 1, and a destroyer, which defends at a 2. But they also had 3 fighters they had placed there. So what happened was they scrambled 2 to the sea battle, but thinking if we lose the sea battle, we'll at least have 1 left for the ground battle. And they had the same, I think the same number of troops as Anzac was bringing in, plus the fighters. So seemed pretty secure, seemed like a good idea. Well, the sea battle went absolutely dismally for Japan. They got 1 hit, so the bomber was taken on the first round, and the second round wiped out the rest of it. And then actually it was the third round, because the cruiser had to take down the fighter. The sub couldn't do it. But the fighter just kept missing, scrambling, firing at a 4. So, weird things. So this victory point has been taken from Japan, and in so doing, wiping out the Japanese transports. Japan has no more transports on the board. They had some up in Japan, but those were taken out by the Americans, who came up. Didn't have enough to land in Japan, but they did land in Korea. And the thought early on was that they would simply get reinforced by the Anzac. But when it became quite apparent that even an Anzac reinforcement likely wouldn't save the lives of these guys, decided to do the Hail Mary, and hey, it worked. And if you watched our last BBR game, the YouTube BBR war, that's like Matt Todd's attack up here. The only downside of destroying Japanese ships is that these wonderful things sent to me by Panzer King end up getting removed off the table. If you haven't seen these yet, he sent me 4 of those, 1 for each of the 4 carriers that were in the Midway battle, and they're magnetized. All right, so I've got a tactical on here. He painted that, and he sent all this to me just because he's a good guy. And you can see the names of the main carriers, the fleet carriers that they have here. So the Hiryu is there, hanging on for dear life. Actually, he's doing quite well. Got a battleship, got the Yamato with him. So that's what's going on there. The Japanese, like I say, have a good hold on China. There is one possible weak link here, and it would cost aircraft to block it. So we'll see if they do it. Down here, the Southeast Asia point is likely going to be Japanese. I'm pretty sure they're going to get it. Again, dice though, you never know. There's 3 AAA here. If they get lucky and maybe knock down 3 or 4 aircraft, okay, now we got a real battle on our hands. And the dice are not always nice. So, but I think Southeast Asia point might be tough to get back. Over here, the British have tried to block up the passage to more oil territories, so there's nothing that really can be done. So the Germans will likely just hold on to the Caucasus here because they certainly don't want that leaving. It's an oil and a resource territory, so they don't want to lose that because that could lose them 2 points, which they don't want to lose. Then we have Stalingrad is firmly in their grasp, and Leningrad is not quite so firmly in their grasp, but definitely can be reinforced by lots of air power. Britain just didn't have the horses to do anything against Italy here, and that's the real problem with playing UK and trying to do something against Rome. Italy makes a ton of cash when played well, and my opponent played very well with Italy. And you saw all the can openers and everything he did for the Germans. And and I mean, you can see all the Italian roundels in the Soviet Union, right? So, and so it's very tough for a British force to get into Rome. You can threaten it and cause them to spend money at home, which essentially Italy has done for the past 3 rounds, is basically just bulked up southern Italy with infantry, which obviously saves their bacon. You can see that the American fleet has left, except for the new one that just came over, and the Canadians flew their bomber over, and they brought the transport over to Gibraltar, so they have some air and sea invasion capability. They also have a bomber here that they bought with their 12 bucks. In England, well, we'll talk about what happened here. Gotta turn the camera around a bit here. But what happened here was the Americans landed in Norway and landed in Denmark, en masse in Denmark, but just 4 units in Norway. And then the British brought in another 10 units, 8 ground and 2 fighters, hoping against hope to hold on to these 2 places, but it's unlikely. Lots and lots of German stuff here. But again, that's why we roll the dice. We'll see what happens with that. But if this does not get dislodged, if Norway or Denmark do not get taken, then the door is open to Leningrad and Berlin. So obviously the Germans don't want to do that. So we're probably going to see a massive attack either on the fleet or on the ground units or on Norway. They only need to kill one of those things in order to win the game, because killing all this stuff here doesn't get the Allies a point, or it doesn't deny the Axis a point. It does open the door for the British a little bit, but they can only move 1 with their troops. So yeah, it's looking pretty good for Axis right now, and we'll see if the Allies are able to get in there and do anything about it. It'll be interesting to see. Round 8 coming up, the last round, folks. Lots of dice to be rolled yet, lots of decisions to be made, and it's coming right down to the wire, just like a good BBR game should every time. All right, folks, we'll let you know what happens right after this. All right, we're halfway through round 8, just done the Japanese turn and moving on to the American turn. I'm going to show you a couple of key moments that are happening right now. One minor one is the Anzac dream of world conquest has been snuffed out by the Japanese Imperial Navy, or the Imperial Japanese Navy, I should say it right, I guess, considering they won, not in real life. But yeah, they wiped that out. So the Anzac, although they hold Manila, will not be going anywhere. Cost a carrier, but that's it. So that's it for them. The 2 fighters were flown up in a defense role into Shanghai, because Shanghai, of course, is a victory city. Hong Kong was given a couple of tanks from Shanghai from the build last round, and of course they just build everything up as they can. Manchuria and Siberia are both resource they're two of the three resource points that the Axis need. They have two others. They have Ukraine and Caucasus. Ukraine is safe. Caucasus has an outside shot of losing. Very outside. Highly unlikely. And so the Japanese definitely needed to bulk up both of these. Now, they have eight American infantry that can come over, as well as those men and artillery there. And they could bring some fighters, and they could load up those guys and go take it. But taking one is not good enough. They need to take two. So the other option is to come down and try to take Shanghai or Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong is definitely the easier of the two. It just has two tanks on it. But it was a real split, because Siberia, there's a good chance Siberia could fall. Those bombers aren't doing anything. They were transports. So it's really only 4 2s and a 3 in defense, and there's going to be like 2 2s and 8 1s, so good chance that Siberia will fall. So they had to bulk up Manchuria a bit. So it was not an easy last round for the Japanese to figure out. But they did have some good fortune here in Southeast Asia. They got the Southeast Asia point. So right now they are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have 13 points on the board right now. So the Allies have to take 2 of those away. We're going to look at a couple of things that happened here. Oh, I think they're down to 12 now, because the Russians were able to take Stalingrad. Stalingrad was the city that the Russians could pour a lot of stuff into, because they had a lot of stuff surrounding, plus they just built 6 tanks last round. And were able to come and take it. They had, on the first round, they had 6 tanks. They had 5 artillery and 12 infantry. So they had 15 at 2. They had 6 at 3 and 2 at 1. And they got 13 hits out of that, which pretty much punched a hole in the sky for the poor Germans. And Stalingrad fell on the second round of combat. But the Germans had to they sent 1 tank up to help out with the defense, but they had to keep these tanks here because, once again, the resource point, and the British, with this kind of stuff here, likely won't take it. They've got 4 1s and 4 1s, 4 2s. No, they've got 4 1s and 4 2s and a 3. Versus a stack of 7 tanks, I think. 6 or 7 tanks. 7 tanks. So, unlikely they'll win that. So, the resource point seems pretty good for the Axis right now. In the Med, nothing has happened, of course, since last round. But up here, we're going to see a brilliant move by the... Well, first we'll tell you what happened in Leningrad. The Soviets attacked and had really good dice. But so did the Germans, and the Soviets came in. They had, I think, 3 tanks, 5 artillery, and 4 men or something. I forget exactly. And they got a lot of hits. But the Germans got a lot of hits too, and the Germans just outlasted them. And these are a couple of planes that flew over to bulk up Leningrad after the last round. But the British might be able to take that out. We'll see. They've got some good punch there. So Leningrad could fall. But a brilliant move by the Germans. The Germans, on their turn, built a minor navy. Just a destroyer, a carrier, and a couple of fighters. And they put them in Sea Zone 112. Okay? Now, the reason you do that in BBR and G40, if I'm not mistaken, is when you're at war and you find your transports in a hostile sea zone, which 112 is right now, you cannot load your transports. So all this stuff that the Americans brought over is now trapped. I was kind of stuck betwixt and between last turn because I didn't want to put too many in Norway that I wouldn't be able to hold Denmark, because a lot of stuff in Western Germany to kill it. And I didn't want to put everything here, nothing in Norway, because then I wouldn't be able to get through. So put 4 units up there, and they sent their Air Force and 4 ground guys. I got 3 hits.
but they got like 12 on the first round, so that was that. So the strait is closed. It cannot be, well, it can be opened by the British, but that doesn't do any good. So on the American turn, the Americans will have to kill this fleet. There'll definitely be a scramble from here. But if they kill the German fleet, then the British will be able to go, because what America is going to build on their turn for Denmark is going to be a naval port. And that will allow Britain to move 3 and bring some guys up to attack Leningrad. Unfortunately, they have a fighter there and a tactical, and the fighter can scramble and just sink the transports because the transports have no defense. So that's the best we could come up with. It'll force them to do that, to scramble maybe in order, and then when they scramble, they're not defending the zone, and then the British can hopefully attack less than what they have in there. So it's calculated gamble, of course. The British are also going to try to take down some of the numbers here for the German money. They can take $5 here. And the Italians aren't able to really do much about that. So we'll see. We'll see if it's enough. Got to do some math, figure out. Not much of a push by the Allies here at the end. It's kind of sad, actually. The most success we had was actually with the Soviets after the failed German attack on Moscow a couple of turns ago, and then they spread out. Then Russia was able to push out and was able to gobble up some money here. Don't know if it's enough, but we'll find out shortly. Like I say, the Axis, I believe, are at 12 or 13 points right now. If Leningrad falls and they're at 12, then that'll be the game. Because Italy only has 1 transport, which the British are hopefully going to kill next round, or the Americans will, and then then they can't get out and get more money, so they can't get any more victory points. So that's just a mid-round 8 synopsis of what's gone on. Everything is kind of where it is, and who knows, China obviously is going to come rushing out of the mountains and try to kill one of these things, and maybe 2 1s can defeat a 2 and a 4, but I would not bet on that, although you'd probably get really good odds on that, like really good payoff. Alright, we'll let you know what happens here for the rest of round 8. Will the Allies be able to capture Leningrad? Will that be enough? Will the Italians be able to do something here with all this stuff they got? We'll see. This is going to be a bloodbath. Okay, the fella I was playing had to take off, but he said, hey, set up the battle, attack, and yeah, just let me know how it works. So here I'm going to film. This is probably the most crucial battle besides maybe the Hong Kong battle. So we'll see how this goes here. Just so you know, the Americans that were in Gibraltar came up and grabbed Holland, Belgium, Normandy, Bordeaux. That's $5, and I think that might knock the Italian-German Third Reich point down. So, but we'll see what goes on here. So what I've done is I got the American fleet here. The transports are there, but of course it's the attack, so they got nothing going on for them. So we got a couple of bombers, and then this is what the Germans have. They have a destroyer, carrier, 4 fighters, and a tactical. Now, because there's a destroyer, there is no sneak attack by the sub, but of course he still gets to attack. So that's 1 for the sub, 1 for the destroyer. Each of the bombers gets 2 at 2. If you're not familiar with that, in BBR, bombers roll 2 dice at 2. Then we've got 4 at 3. And 1 at 4 for the battleship. Now, the aircraft carrier is just there for cannon fodder. Alright, so here is the first roll for the United States in this battle. And we're looking for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hits. Well, that's not 10 hits. 3 hits. Okay. I'll put 3 hits. And that'll likely be the carrier is 2 and the destroyer is 3. Okay, so they got all their aircraft left. Okay, so the carrier's defending at a 2, destroyer's defending at a 2, the tactical's defending at a 3, and the fighters are all defending at 4. Okay, here we go. See, that's how you're supposed to roll. 5 hits. Alright, so we're going to go 1-2 because their game is over. So that's 2 hits for them. Put them in the dead pile along with the German stuff. That's 2, 3, 4 for the carrier. And because the sub can't hit anything anymore, 5. Alright, so now we're down to it. So we've got a 2, 4 3s, and a 4 versus 4 4s and a 3. So, yeah, the Americans have a little advantage because they have a tip on the battleship, but if those Germans keep rolling 4 for 4 on their 4s, won't end well here. 4, and the destroyer. So we've got the battleship, those 3, so we should have 6 dice. We got 6. Okay, here we go. Okay, 3 hits, so that'll be those, of course. So now we have 1 at 3 and 4 at 4 in defense. Here we go. Okay, 3 more hits. Well, here's the thing. If you damage the battleship, he only shoots at a 2. I could take him out. I think I'm going to do that. So that's my 3 hits for the Americans and the 3 hits for the Germans. A very even battle, actually. So now we have 4 3s against 2 4s. So we can roll them all at the same time, actually. So 4 3s against 2 4s. All right, so 1 hit for the Germans. And so we'll take a... It doesn't really matter too much. I'll take a cruiser because all things being equal, it doesn't really matter. All right, so essentially what that battle did was it allows... I'm going to put these fighters back in Denmark. It allows the British to now load their transports and head out. But again, heading this way, they're just going to get sunk. Right? So the British will have to engage here in order to cause any kind of grief. Okay? All right, that's pretty much it for that battle. And we'll go walk on over to the battle in Hong Kong. Just a moment. All right, so here's the battle for Hong Kong. And it looks pretty good for the Americans, but you got to roll a dice still. So we have, we'll have bombards. So we have a 4 and 2 3s. And then we got 2 fighters and 4 men. So that's 4 at 1. And then we've got the fighters, and we got the 2 cruisers, and we got the battleship. Okay, so that does it then. So Hong Kong's going to fall. The reply is 1 hit, so we'll kill 1 guy off. And it's the last round, so we don't need to worry about really much else going on here. Let's put these guys here. They're done. So that goes back to Britain, and we're going to adjust our sheets here in just a second. Well, I don't know what kind of battle it's going to be, but we'll load up and we'll go do the battle way up north. All right, here is the battle for Siberia. It's just for reviewing pleasure. It means nothing in the game because the Axis are still going to have their 3 resource points. But what the heck, I thought I'd show you a little bit of action here. So, had a bit of a brain fart. I can't bring 8 guys over because you can only drop up to maximum, I believe, of 4 into combat. So I'm bringing in 4, and the other 2 bombers are just going to come in and drop some 2s on these things and then and basically die. So the Japanese, these guys here are air transports. They brought in some defense last round, but they don't defend, but they can certainly take hits on the dice. So we have the 4 bombers, we have the 4 unsupported infantry, and then we have the men and the artillery. So here we go. Hey, look at all that. 1 hit. Ha! The Japanese will lose that. And then the Japanese have 4 and then a 3. So 4 infantry and 1 tank. Wow, we just don't like hitting with 2s today, do we? Okay, so we'll get rid of 1 bomber. Doesn't really matter. All 4 bombers are pretty much out of the contest now, so we'll just take them out. Alright, so back to it. The air transports, I believe, hang in there though, but the bombers are gone. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 still. So we got 4 white and 2 artillery and supporting the infantry. Okay, so 3 hits. So that's 1 and 2, 3. Okay, so the Japanese still have their 4. Let's see if they can hit on their 2s this time. It's been kind of my bane is the 2s. Well, they actually were the only ones that hit this time. So we're going to lose the air transport. Alright, then we have, I guess we still got the 4 whites and 2 blues. 2 hits. Okay, so that's 2 men. And then the Japanese will have 2 blue and a green. 1. Wow, that green isn't hitting. Okay, so that's the last air transport. So the Americans, I did not think I was actually going to win this battle. The Japanese defense has been pretty anemic here. So that's it. Down to 1 dice. Hey, I finally got a hit. So I'm sure that's of little consequence to anybody, but there we go. So that's Russia goes up $2. That's all that happens with that. It's actually a nothing battle. Meant nothing in the grand scheme of things, but I thought you might enjoy seeing it. All right, so that's it for America's turn. China is on now, so we're going to have them jump out and try to Kansu. This actually means something. This is a victory point. So if these 2 Chinese troops can actually grab this, it'll take a point off the Axis. So 2 at 1. It's got to be in the tray. Okay, nothing there. And then we have a 3, or sorry, a 2 and a 4. Okay. Ooh, a chance. Okay, 1 hit. Oh, they got a hit. Look out. Look out. And it's over. Okay, so they died. The infantry died. And of course, Kansu stays. So the Japanese are going to hold on. Oh, yeah, they are going to hold on to that. And that was one of the reasons I was thinking of going to Kiangsu. Although it's more heavily defended, this would be 2 points because it's Shanghai, the victory city. I'm going to come around here. Okay. Come around here. The Shanghai here is worth a point, but this is also considered a Chinese territory, and that's a victory point. So this is worth 2 points. But Hong Kong was a little bit more lightly defended, so thought I'd go for the sure thing there. Well, not the sure thing, but the way the dice have been this game, good grief. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for stuff you really need to watch. The battle in Western Germany is going to be a slaughter. I'm not going to bore you with the details on that. It's going to be a lot of dice rolling for 2 rounds and then it'll be over, I'm sure. But maybe we'll do the Italian fleet one, because this one is actually a little important. Not crazily, but just a little important. So we've got 3 American subs, a destroyer, and a battleship. Okay, so there's no destroyer here, so the 3 American subs are going to get 3 sneak attacks. And they're definitely going to scramble, because there is no chance of a major landing, and they got so much stuff there. Rome is safe, so they're definitely going to scramble here. Now, the Americans aren't bringing any aircraft, and you can't have anti-aircraft in attack, so we don't need any AAA rolls, but we do get 3 2s for the Americans. 3 at 2 with the sub sneak attacks. Okay, they got one hit. And target select, and they'll take that on a sub because they want to keep that battleship healthy. If they took it on the battleship now, then the battleship would instantly be a 2 because the target select is automatic. It's not in the first round. It precedes the first round. All right, so now they have a 2 and a 4. No hits. All right. Like I say, the dice. So now we have 4 4s and a 1. Okay, 2 hits. All right. We'll get rid of 2 subs. All right. All right. We'll just put the American build of that naval port. It keeps falling out of the tree. All right. So now we have the Americans with 1 sneak of a 2, and then a regular 2 and a 4. Their battleship and destroyer missed last time, so they need a hit on the sub here. They didn't get one. Destroyer and battleship, 2 hits. It's a bit more like it. So probably take that on the sub and a fighter. Yeah, sub and a fighter. Okay. And we'll do it on the German fighter because their turn's done. Okay. So they still get, though, they get a 1. They get a 4, or a 1 and 3 4s. Or 1 and 4 4s. 2 more hits. So the American will lose the sub and the destroyer. 1 4 or 2 2s. You know what? Let's go with that. We'll take the destroyer. We'll keep the sub. We'll damage the battleship. All right. Well, it looks like the Italians are going to win this one, and they should have. They had better odds at the start. All right. I'll throw that over there. Okay, so the Americans now have 2 2s versus 3 4s. Don't give much for the Americans' chances here. Especially when they roll blanks. You should have seen my 2s this game. Good grief. And that's it for the Americans. All right. So the Americans are done. And the Italians land back there in Rome. That was just for some fun, but also, had it been successful, it would have helped out the Brits a little bit with one idea. But since it wasn't successful, the Brits are going to do the other idea. All right, so that's it for the American turn. Just got to do that. This is going to be a long, well, not a long battle, but pretty frenetic. So pardon me, I'm not going to show it to you, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of German units left in Western Germany at the end of this. All right, we'll be right back with the end of round 8 and the end of the game. We'll add up the points and see what we got. Okay, I thought I'd show you a couple more battles that are going to happen here. One is Caucasus, which, again, Germans have a good handle on that one. And then another shot of the British coming after the Italian fleet. And, of course, the Italians will scramble. The British decided to take southern France and not even try to land. I mean, that's ridiculous. Italy is very well defended. So the British are doing that. So we're going to do the Caucasus battle first. So we have 2, 4 at 2. We've got 4 at 1 and 1 at 3. Against, I think there's 7 at 3. So, yeah, see, that's what happens when you attack with infantry on its own. So we got 1 hit. And we'll see how many Germans we got here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 7. Down to 6. 5, 6, 7. Again, this is the BBR, right? The desperation shots. Oh well, only 2. So we'll get rid of these 2 bombers because they're done anyway. They're out of the game. So we got a 3 and 4 1s. You never know though, sometimes these ones show up. So, here we go. That one's... So we got one more hit. So the Germans have 5 tanks left, but they get 6 dice. Alright. 3 hits. Alright, so that takes care of 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we have a 3 and a 1 versus 5 threes. Will this be a miracle, or is it over? Whoops. I think it's over. There's a hit on the floor, but I don't think that matters. Oh, stop missing the tray. Hey, we got a hit. Look at that. Okay, so 5 threes. Probably the last roll. Yeah, 2 hits. Alright. Well, good try, Britain. But the Caucasus holds. So that's actually a big deal, because that is a victory point. And now the final battle of the British. So we have a sub, and then we've got 2 destroyers, 2 cruisers, and 2 tacticals. Now the tacticals can't use their target select because of the AA guns on the battleship. So the battleship has AA guns. Okay, no hits. And then we have the sneak attack of the sub. No hits. My subs just aren't doing it for me today. So 2 at 2, 2 at 3, another, and then 2 at another 2 at 3. So 4 at 3, and 2 at 2. Never get me to roll your dice for you. So that's 1 hit. And the battleship and the 2 fighters is 3 fours. 2 hits. Okay, so of course we'll tip this, because then that keeps them with 2 fours and a 2 instead of just 2 fours. And they got 2 hits. So we'll get rid of the... Actually, we'll hang on to the sub in case it gets a hit. We'll get rid of the 2 destroyers. Alright. So... we're down to 2 cruisers, 2 of those, and this is the sub. It's the only 2 I have left, so we can roll it all at the same time. Hey, the 2 hit. So that's going to sink the battleship, and it's not going to get a chance to shoot back because it's a, like I say, it's an instantaneous hit. And then 2 more hits. Well, that'll be the planes. So the Italians get a 2 and 2 fours. And 2 and 2 fours in response. Okay, 2 more hits. So because the 2 is the battleship, it could hit the sub, so we'll take that sub as a casualty. And then we'll take doesn't really matter, it's kind of the end of the game, and the Italian Air Force is gone now. And the Italian transport goes away. So that's that. Alright, well, you basically see how the game has shaped up. The Italians will likely be able to take back southern France with no trouble. Holland, Belgium is out of range. They can send 1 tank though. So 1 tank could from Germany could get that back as well. So that'd be $6. And yeah, we'll see. I don't know if there's much else. I guess they could take a poke at Rostov here for $2. If they win that, they go up another $2. So there's a chance to get the third right point back, absolutely. All right, we'll let you know what happens at the end of the game. I won't show you any more rolls because there really aren't going to be any more rolls. Except for those minor battles. I'll let you know how they turn out right after this. Okay, I feel a little guilty. I'm going to show you the rolls here for these 2 little battles. I've also put on the Italian build, which is going to be a battleship. That's all all the money they had, and it will stop the Canadians from doing any kind of crazy stuff from coming in here. Not stop them, but probably force them to go elsewhere. All right, so what we have here is we have the Italians coming in. They've got 5 at 1 and 2 at 2. Versus 4 at 2. All right, so 5 at 1 and 2 at 2. 1, 2, 3. Oh, all my dice are up here. All right. 5 at 1 and 2 at 2. Here we go. Oh, Italy. It's probably why Italy quit the war with rolls like that. Okay, well, only 1 for the British. So then that's 4 at 1 and 2 at 2. Oh, Italy. Stop it. And we got 4 at 2. 2 hits. Uh-oh. I think it just went from Italian odds to British. Oh, good grief, Italy. Okay, well, it's 2 Italians versus 4 Brits now. 1 hit. 2 hits. Well, there you have it, folks. The British held on and only lost 1 man. That's the worst rolling I think I've seen in a long, long time. And so Italy strikes out. Well, maybe they'll have better luck up here. So the tank from Berlin blitzed across into Holland, Belgium. Let's see how that goes. So we have 1-3 versus 2-2s. So this is the tank and this is the Americans. Nobody hit. I should probably get those out of there. So no hits. I'm going to back that off a little bit. Let's try it again. Oh, the Americans got a hit. So that's it for the Italian tank as well. So, yeah, the Italians, wow. They did so well when the other guy was rolling. Yeah. Sorry about that, opponent. It was pretty bad rolling there. Pretty bad rolling indeed. But you'll notice you did really well in Western Germany. America, with all that stuff, they think they had 18 units or something, and they got 6 hits. And you wiped them out in the first round of combat. It was over. So, yeah. The British, if nobody noticed, took Norway. And then the other 2 they sent over got sunk by the scramble, which they had to do, which only left a fighter behind. But here's the story there. If they hadn't lost so much to the Russians, they probably would have held Leningrad, because that lone fighter got hits in they had 2 ground units and 3 fighters and a bomber. And they lost the bomber on round 1. They lost the mech on round 2. They lost a fighter on round 3 and a fighter on round 4. And that entire time, the Brits got 0 hits. 0 hits. And they had a bomber with 2 dice, 2 at 2. They had the mech at 1, and then they had 3 fighters and a tank. And all 4 threes missed until they started losing fighters. And finally, they got a hit. So the Germans really put up a scrap there, I'll tell you. Should have filmed that one. That one was pretty amazing. All right, so that is pretty much it. There's no other real attacks that can go on that are going to be of any consequence. Well, I shouldn't say that. So the Canadians, I guess, can load up the transport, and we'll pick up a man and a tank, because why not? We'll go. Yeah, you know what? That is it. Because they can only go 3. 1, 2, 3. They're not going in there. With a destroyer. Oh, you know what? Why not? So we'll send a destroyer. We'll try to go to northern Italy. We'll send a destroyer and the bomber in with the transport. Okay? So we've got the destroyer's a 2 and the bomber is 2 2s. But there's anti-aircraft for the Italians. So get an anti-aircraft shot from the battleship. Whew, that was close. And then the Canadians have 3 at 2. Holy cow. They sank the battleship. Go Canada. And the battleship gets a hit. So with that hit, we'll take the bomber because it'd be gone anyway. So the landing succeeds. So we have a man and a tank going into northern Italy. So that's a 1 and a 3 versus a 2. A 1 and a 3 versus a 2. The 2 hits. So now it's a 3 versus a 2. The Canadian tank is the green one. Whoop. Alright. Oh my goodness, this is tense. Oh, the Canadian tank wins it. Alright, well that probably will do everything that needs to be done as the Canadians sneak in and just cause all sorts of grief. And the funny thing is I could have brought the tactical in because it can fly 1, 2, 3 and land in France. This is what happens when you just kind of play by yourself and you're wrapping things up. So if I had lost that battle, I'd be kicking myself. But I think that's pretty much all that can happen. Yeah, nobody else can get into anything there. So, all right, I'm going to total up the points and clean up the map a little bit, and I'll come back with a grand total of what happened here in this BBR game. It's been a real slugfest. And excellent play on all sides, and some really lousy dice on both sides, and some really good dice on both sides. It's had everything you want in a game, and we'll let you know what the final analysis is in just a moment. Alright, in the final analysis, only the Axis money matters, and they kind of took it on the chin in that last round. Enough stuff was taken from them in the last round to push them under the Third Reich point. They need, between the Italians and the Germans, they need 70 bucks. They were over 70 at the start of round 8, but now they are down to 51. So they lost quite a bit of territory, of value. So here we have what the map looks like at the end of the game. There is really not much. Like, the Allies don't have much going on here at all. If we played 9 rounds, all this stuff would get taken by the Germans. But the other thing about BBR is, knowing it's a finite game, we don't even put on the final build for America. The Italians will put on their build, like their battleship there. If there's Canadians or Anzac anywhere nearby that can do anything to them, they'll put on a build. Otherwise, they don't even really need to put on the build. Anzac doesn't even need to do a build or a turn in this case, because there was nothing that they could do. They can't take any territory. And, I mean, they could fly out here and try to bomb the battleship, but to what end? Japan held on to China, and that's worth a victory point. Here's something about China with the bloodbath rules. If Japan holds on to China, let's say by round 4 they're able to capture all of Chinese territories, even round 5, we'll give them to round 5. I think this game it was round 5 and it was all done. Could have been round 4. My opponent did an excellent job with Japan, and he was able to take out all of China, I think, by round 5. So at the end of round 5, round 6, round 7, and round 8, China is actually worth 22 points, or 22 IPCs, China alone. Because there's 12 on the ground, and they get a 10 IPC bonus for holding all of China. So if you're playing BBR and you're Japan, just remember that. So he made 22 bucks for rounds 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 4 rounds. That's 88 IPCs just for owning China. So it's kind of worth, you know, if you got to lose some stuff to take it, it's worth it. What happened here, I think what decided the game, this is going to be an Allied victory, but I think what decided the game was the first round of rolling in the Battle for Moscow during round 6, I believe it was. My opponent had stationed the stuff and was ready to go. I was able to get some British ground units and air power into Moscow to help out. And that first roll that I had was devastating, and knocked the wind right out of them. So there was he wouldn't be able to take Moscow. He branched out after that and was able to grab a victory point in the Caucasus, but again, the Russians kept building, right, in turn 6, 7, and 8. So that helped them take back Leningrad and punch down the Germans. So I think if that battle had gone differently, the Axis victory would have been within reach. Also, some of the stuff that happened here in the Pacific, it was just kind of brain fart stuff on my part. Things that I wanted to do that I didn't do, that I should have done, that caused other people to have to do things, or other nations. So that's the sad part. If we look at the Pacific, America's got some air power here. Again, they could have, on their turn, come out here and clobbered the battleship, but again, to what end? Just want to get the game done at that point. But the Axis, the Japanese definitely have a lot more stuff going for them than America or Anzac, right? So the Japanese can definitely take Calcutta next round, although England didn't put on a build. If there was another round, there'd be $20 worth of stuff in there, so probably like 4 infantry and 2 artillery sitting there. But again, with all that air power, all my anti-aircraft are gone, and these tanks, Calcutta would fall, and then the Japanese would start rolling across. But of course, we know it's an 8-round game, so things get done differently. And I think that's the beauty of BBR. You can play Global 40 anytime you want. You can play all the other ones anytime you want, and you end when somebody says uncle. But I think this game is has being finite. I think it allows you to try some things you might not try in a regular game. In Europe here, the Italians and the Germans have far more stuff at their disposal than anybody else. And even though Northern Italy fell, it's not going to fall again anytime soon. And Germany is under no duress. All the American punch is gone. So it's a good game in that you can squeak out a victory, but if you kept playing, it would be interesting to carry on. Now, I know early on the BBR had an 8-round, 9-round, or a 10-round option, and the longer it went, the better the Axis had to do, which makes sense as we look at the end of the game here. Axis definitely have the wherewithal to prosecute the war more than the Allies do. So, if we look here at my high-tech victory card, this is what the Axis continue to have. They have Berlin, Rome, Tokyo, Paris, Warsaw, and Shanghai. But that's it for victory cities. All the other ones were taken from them. They do get the resources. They get the Southeast Point, and they get the China Point. So that's 9 points of the 12. But, if dice had been a little different, that would be up to 10 points. And again, that battle for Moscow, I think my opponent would agree with me that was the turning point of the game. Had he had excellent dice on the first round, and if I would have had mediocre dice, then we'd have goose-stepping soldiers going through the streets of Moscow right past the Kremlin right now. So a very close game, excellent game all around. And thanks for watching, folks. Hope you've appreciated it. And, when you see people, this is, I don't know if you know, but this is a lot of work. So when you see people putting up gameplay videos or putting up instructional videos or tactic videos, strategy videos, thank them. It's a lot of work. A lot of work to get all this stuff done, to film it, to be as clear and concise as possible, be entertaining at the same time. So we appreciate your when you sub to our channels, and just let your people know you appreciate what they're doing. And it's not for me. I get a lot of that, so I'm fine. But I look at some of the other videos. There's not a lot of views. And guys are really putting it out there. So yeah, just go give them a like and a sub, and let them know you're out there. Really encourages us to make more of these. And I know I do these because I do have a lot of people who watch them, and it's meaningful then. So thanks to all of you who do watch my videos and who are subbed. I really appreciate it. You take care, hug your loved ones, enjoy the new normal of the school year, And yeah, thank you, friends, for playing with him. And until next time, may the dice be with you.